I'm going to be honest with you, this is not the mid-year video I expected to be filming even a couple of weeks ago. But here we are. Hi friends, I'm Katie. Welcome back to my studio. Let's talk mid-year planner stuff. I'm going to divide the different parts of my system into different videos because I have a feeling I'm going to have a hard time keeping it condensed for any of them. So we can do them by theme. And today I thought we'd talk about my everyday carry planner, which is also just like my planner. I don't have like an at-home planner and an on-the-go planner. This is my planner. But it does go on the go, and that is an important part of the function that it serves, and there are considerations accordingly. So this is how I started the year. It was in a different cover at the time, but Hobonichi Weeks for mental health and therapy kinds of stuff. B6 Slim Sterling Ink Compact Horizontal. And then a journal insert, which is not what we're going to mostly be talking about today, although it's possible to come up. And I have been really happy in this B6 Slim planner. Let's do a quick flip through of the weeklies because I kind of feel like that's going to because I think that's going to really be a good example of what happened behind the scenes. So I started the year with the idea of this, what I was calling my Mary Poppins layout. This one's a little faint. It's a little hard to see it, but here. So daily, pre-decided daily tasks, main tasks here in the horizontal sections as intended. And then I made this faux hourly. I mean, it's a real hourly. I just drew it myself here in the top so that I could see my timed appointments here. And then like an Alistair method, rolling weekly, habit tracker, task tracker, and then some lists across. And then I had a post-it note here with my my weekly habits. And I did this for weeks. And I really enjoyed myself. And I really liked it. Sometimes I decorated it more than others. But here we are into February. Still doing it. Into March. Didn't decorate this week. Still used it. Here we are in April. And then we got to mid-April. So we're talking 3.5 months here. And here's where things started falling apart for me. The bump, so I'm using clear stickers here. Let's get the rest of this out of the way. I'm using clear stickers, not washi stickers, but clear stickers here. And even after 3.5 months, the bump from putting them in the same place, from both sides, because I'm essentially doing 2 layers a week, started getting pretty intense. And then also the next week was a week that things were a little different. I just decided to start, let's do this in order. So the bump started to get bad, and I was 3.5 months in, and I was starting to get the itch. Not because this wasn't working well for me, but because I just wanted to try something different. I think Lindsay Scribbles very aptly has been discussing the fact that her planner is both a productivity tool and a hobby. And that's really been making me think, okay, the productivity tool part is working great. And the hobby part is a little hey, I'm kind of bored. You've been doing the same thing for weeks. And so then it was, time to start exploring. And when I bought this Sterling Ink planner, I liked it. Well, because I've liked other Sterling Ink planners, but because it's extremely minimal. It's grid on both sides, which I like compared to the ones that don't have grid on the left. you know, there are these lines, but I can ignore them if I want to. There are these dates, but they're really not that hard to cover up. So if I want to use the structure, it's here for me. If I don't want to use the structure, it's like incredibly easy to just bulldoze over and make something new. So as the itch got itchy, I started rearranging some stuff. So here's a layout I did, and in full disclosure, the video I thought I was going to be filming here at Midyear was like, how to spice up your planner without hopping. Here are like some ways to think about changing your layouts. And I mean, I am pro changing your layouts. I think it's really fun. But my high horse had to be like, have its legs kicked out from under it a little bit. But anyway, let's talk about this layout a little bit. So this is, again, we're in the B6 Slim. And you can make columns. How wide are these columns? They're not all exactly the same width, to be honest with you. I make the one in the middle a little wider because the other two have some margin, but they're about 1.25 inches. So they're actually pretty decently wide columns. You can see I can get my like date headers. These aren't 1.5 inches. They're pretty much 1.25 inches. And so they work really well. But I then made like a little hourly here and a little room for task list. And then my like rolling weekly task list and all my other stuff. And this worked great. It houses all the information I needed. I had no complaints. I was on vacation this week, so it's a little, no, I'm sorry, it's the next week. I just didn't use my planner as much this week, but it was still working well, same basic thing. I never did all the lists, but, you know, same idea, hourly and whatever. This was the week I was on vacation, and so I didn't need the hourly, so I just made them tasks. Instead, I moved some of my lists to the sidebar because I wasn't putting like a big piece of decorative paper there. But, you know, this worked pretty well. As I said, I was on vacation, so didn't need all these things. And then I, you know, got the desire to switch again. So this is kind of like the original one. I've made this hourly here. These are still for date-specific tasks. These are for like week, you know, date unspecified tasks. And then some other lists and habit trackers and stuff. This worked really well. I added the stickers after I'd added the events. This is more space than I need for my hourly. As you can tell, I don't have that many timed events. So, but you know, wasn't a problem. I had enough space for everything else. Here's kind of a hybrid of some of the other things we've seen. So here's the timed tasks are in the horizontal sections. And then the vertical sections are for lists. Again, I didn't use it a huge amount this week, but it's got all the pieces that I need. I still have my meal plan. I still have my habit trackers. I kind of need my timed events to stand out compared to the list. Otherwise, they get a little lost. I kind of need to see them. So I did that. And then this is kind of like the cow one from 2 weeks before, but shortened. So we've got day-specific tasks here, a list for tasks, like non-date-specific tasks, some other things. You can see this one's getting pretty sparse. And here's this past week, very sparse. Part of the goal here is I've started putting decorative paper that I've ripped under the bump. So like part of the goal of changing all of these, is to like have fun and play with something new, but is also to like stop putting stickers in that same exact location. Here I'm like essentially resurfacing. I've put this paper here with like a non-abrupt edge on this side, but that butts right up to the bump. And I need one more set of resurfacing, I think, but it kind of evens out this bump. So I need to do it one more time here, and then I think we'll have like a nice regraded layout. This is, you know, day, specific time kind of tasks, other kinds of tasks, meals. I had blocked some of this off, but whatever. Notes, habit trackers, whatever. But you'll see that it's unused. And honestly, I jumped out of this planner about Thursday of this week. I'm just kind of putting some stuff here. I'm hopeful that once I resurface it, it will be a more attractive thing to jump back into. But let's talk about the jumping out. First, let's talk about me and who I am as a person. I am not implying that this is how you should be as a person in any particular dimension, just who I am as a person. I both do not like to planner hop, and I do not like to be in the same planner for a whole year. And this is tough. There are different reasons. I don't like to planner hop because I do not like to leave undone pages. My brain does not like the waste of them. And it's also just kind of like who I am. I rarely DNF like books that I'm reading. It's just not the thing that my brain is most suited to. But my brain also likes change. And if I think back on my planner journey since 2021, I think there's only one planner I've been in for a whole year, and that was like a disc-bound one that I changed essentially weekly. I've moved into book-bound in 2023, and I was buying the Sterling Ink half-year B6 planners. And then you had that like built-in break at the half-year. Both years that I did it, I did both the first year half and the second half, and I still got a little itchy at times, but that like built-in break I think really served me well. And then I used a passport planner for my EDC last year, and I jumped out of that in June and just switched to inserts. So my track record is not great, and I think I gotta like learn from that like as a scientist, I have to admit that I have a lot of data, and the data leads to some pretty conclusive results, which is that like 52 weeks is too many weeks for me. And I really tried to like change it up. And that, that bought me, how many weeks did I do this before I jumped? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 weeks. And I expect to jump back into this planner. I think it's going to be more attractive once I've like resurfaced here. I can't go back to putting my stickers here, but I can go back to using this layout. To be honest with you, I would have had the itch without the bump, but I think probably I would have just kept going if I didn't have the bump, because this layout was working so well for me that if I was able to just like put my head down and keep doing it and not have like an occasion to stop and to think about it, I probably would just like, I probably would have done some of these, but I don't think I would have had the like, why kinds of feelings. But the combination of like just the brain being the way that it is and the bump became uninspiring. And I love the base layout here, and I love all the freedom that it gives me, and I really do think that is like mission critical for me to be happy in a planner. But it turns out that I still get bored of the size, and I hadn't prepared for that. I knew that I needed something I could change dramatically, but I cannot change this planner's size, at least not without like doing something terrible to the layouts I've already filled, right? I can't cut it. And so I found myself really like interested in like A6 as a size. For example, the number of times that I've looked at the Just Scribble website at the A6, because she does half years and she's selling the second halves. separately. But those start in July anyways. I wasn't going to be able to move into that at the beginning of May anyway. So as I was flailing around, and I pulled out every notebook I own, every size, I was just like feeling them. I find that like touching stuff is really helpful. And I did like the A6 in the hand, but the A6 that I have is like a daily planner, which isn't what I really need. It's a weekly planner, which is part of why I'm also like not exactly jumping to get the just scribble, which I think is a great design, but it has daily pages, and I don't need the daily pages in here. I do that work elsewhere. But as I was pulling out all my stuff and I was trying to decide if I was going to switch and whatever, part of my hang up about planner hopping is that in future years, when I want to find my things, I want it easy to find all of the stuff that the year spent. So I have been doing half-year planners. I'm used to the idea of it being 2. But it turns out I was already using 2 this year, right? I had this Hobonichi Weeks that I've been carrying around and that I had stopped using. So I don't want to show you all my like therapy notes, but we started not really using it. I mean, some, not unused, but yeah, here we get into April, May. And so I hadn't really been using it to any particular extent in at least a month. Maybe more like a month and a half. And I was like, well, I was always going to keep the Hobonichi Weeks. It's like part of my archive. You know, there's stuff in there I want to keep, and it's beautiful, and I love it. So I am already into planners for this year. I could just swap to this. And I really was attracted to the idea in a way that I cannot justify because I'm doing nearly the same layout. Not exactly, I'm not doing the hourly, but I've got, you know, this isn't unusual. Timed tasks here, daily tasks here, meal planning, habits, and like rolling weekly, and the little lists. And I've been in here for 2 weeks and a half, and I've been really happy in it. So the part of me is like, why? Some of it is that it like does tactily feel different. It's not a noticeably different size really from Basic Slim. It's slightly taller and slightly wider, but we're really not talking about a lot here. But it is kind of a different aspect ratio, and the hardcover makes it like feel different in the hand, and the cream paper also makes it like feel different. And it turns out that at least for the moment, that's enough difference. So, yeah, I moved into here. I kind of would be surprised if I'm happy here for the whole, like, rest of the year. I fully expect to hop again, but if I hop back into this, which is what I'm going to try to do, I mean, we're still at like net zero here. This is the 2 planners I started the year with, and if I go back and forth between them, it's still 2. So that's kind of where I've fallen. Part of what I am enjoying about the Hobonichi Weeks right now is that I'm not like in a mental space to really feel like decorating it. I put these stickers in, but the thing I don't like about cream paper is I don't really like how this dark white looks on the cream paper. It's not too bad on these particular stickers. There's also just like not a ton of room for it here, and there's part of me that actually is really drawn at the moment to just black ink, the fewest, streamlining the decisions, you know, whatever. I don't want to, I'm not in the mood to be making a lot of decisions, and so it's simple. But I strongly believe that I'm gonna want that again. And this planner is great to decorate. I love decorating it. The white paper takes the color so well. There's the difference in space, even though it's small, still gives like opportunities for some of my big stickers in my stash. So I expect that itch is going to come back, and I am excited that once I have finished resurfacing here, that this is going to be a great planner to jump back into when I kind of can't take the cream paper anymore and I want to be using my stickers. So that's the decision I have made at the moment. I feel medium good about it. Reasonably good. The annoying bits. And the nice thing is, too, to only be carrying half as much. Which, you know, both of these are small and not that heavy, but two of them is substantially heavier than one of them alone. That's how math works. So I am glad to be like just kind of down to one instead of two. Oh yeah, the one hiccup in the whole thing is that I had put different kinds of trackers in each of these planners. And so I had my symptom tracker here, and I have a budget at the back, and I was using the monthly to meal plan, and I can still do that, but then I had some like mental health, like my insomnia tracker in this one and some other ones in here, and I can copy them back and forth, and maybe that's the answer, but a big hang up in my like, am I gonna hop out of this, is like, oh, my trackers are in here, and that's annoying. So I think for 2026 and going forward, I'm going to take a page out of Siobhan It Just Scribbles policy. I'm gonna buy one of those monthly inserts from Sterling Ink. It only has like 64 pages. It has all the front matter of a Sterling Ink, you know, the quarterlies, all this stuff, and all through the monthlies, and then a few blank pages where I can do my budget and stuff as a separate insert. And I think I'm going to do that. She's doing hers in A6, which seems like a great size. I kind of am a little afraid I need to do it in Passport. For me, I think it makes sense to do it in the smallest size I might reasonably want to hop into, and I can't rule out Passport. So Passport's a little small for some of that stuff, but I think I will manage. So I think I'm going to buy I think I'm going to buy an insert with all of that front matter, and that's going to be like my source of truth for the whole year, and it can travel with me back and forth for whatever decisions I make. And then I'm going to hopefully buy planners that don't last longer than 6 months, or inserts or something. We'll see. I can't swear to it. It does limit my options pretty substantially, but there are some, and they are good. So I think that's currently my plan. I think my route for success is to have a lot of flexibility. Not just to change layouts, which I knew about myself, but also to change size. There's something about changing the aspect ratio and whatever that, like, as a graphic design nerd, I enjoy the puzzle of putting all my things in new places and to new spaces, even if something is working for me. You know, this was working great. I didn't need to change it. Even with the bump, I could have skipped the bump. I didn't need to have these stickers here. If I didn't use stickers here, it would be fine. I just enjoy trying something new. So I'm gonna need something that gives me a lot of freedom, both, you know, in terms of weekly layout week to week, but also opportunities to change books. Now I hear you asking, why aren't you just using a notebook? And I think that's a possibility. If I am doing all the front matter in an insert, I could just do a notebook. The answer is because I do enjoy having something already set up for me, even if I change it. But it's possible that notebook is where we're headed. It's possible that inserts, either that I buy or make myself or some combination, are ahead of me. Part of it, if we're being like truly honest, is that as a content creator, it benefits me to be in a named planner that people are searching for ideas for. Right? Like, people will look up a B6 Slim common planner for inspiration and they will find me. Whereas if I'm off doing, I mean, obviously there's a whole stuff out there for bullet journals, but like, I enjoy participating in the community of Sterling Inc. or other small planner companies. And so that's a little hard to get excited to leave. But if it's not working for me, I'm not going to let it like keep me here. Okay, that's what's been going on with my everyday planner. Stay tuned for all the nonsense that's going on in my work planner. I hadn't bought a planner for 2025, so it's not a hop. It's just a desire to try something new. So on that teaser, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you are enjoying your planners and learning a lot about yourself and practicing some self-acceptance. I will talk to you soon. Bye, friends.